And great job so far, everyone. Now is the time where we're going to be doing some of the questions that came from you folks. So thank you for being great listeners and great thinkers. And Class C is going to read the first question. I do believe the format will stay the same in terms of how long the person has to respond. So the questions might be for either a storyteller or a candidate, but again, you will have 1 minute to respond. And Class C will read the first one. Just kidding, I'm going to read the first one. Okay. I believe this is for our candidates, I think. A significant revenue stream to the city of Duluth is the bail bond. They impose an undue hardship on people in poverty and people of color. What would you do to relieve this unfair weight on people from poverty? I think that is a candidate question. So we'll start with candidate Hobbs.
And it's 1 minute each, too, but it's
1 minute each.
Could you clarify the...
I believe the question is about concerns with the bail bond process. So when you are arrested and appear in court, the judge will either refer you to supervised release or you have to pay bail. And to pay bail, you put 10% down with the company, and the company says, okay, we'll promise that Mr. Smith will show up in court. But 10% can be, I think, a hardship for some people. So I think that's what the question was.
All right, I will answer about the 10% then. So hopefully that's what the question was being asked. I think that's part of, we'd have to work with other government entities on that as well. With St. Louis County, I know they have a correctional facility of NERC, and so there's a lot of things that we can look at addressing, but that is a significant problem, and especially when you don't have money. It's actually very expensive to be poor, and basic things like that, getting a citation if you're homeless and they expect you to pay a $100 fine for loitering or for just suspicious activity. It's something that we do have to look into, and it would be a multi-governmental approach. I don't know if the city alone could handle that by itself, but I'd be supportive of finding a solution.
Thank you. Candidate Anderson.
So, a really interesting question, and I don't know a lot about bail bond. I do know that I'm aware that there's been a huge number of people in our jails are there for non-violent drug offenses, and I'm glad to see that those laws are changing. So hopefully as those laws change, the need for people to place bail will be less. So that's the best I can do on that tonight.
Candidate Kennedy.
Thank you for the question. It's a tough one to answer because I'm not quite sure if that was the correct question. But people of color are disproportionately targeted and or have greater sentences when they are incarcerated or have tickets. And so I believe it's a social issue as far as a local solution as to how that's happening and why. And as far as the funding, I guess I really don't have an answer. As far as working on the inequity of people actually getting tickets or being incarcerated, that's the first issue. And then looking at that within organizations to figure out how we can help people to pay for that so they can get out of jail and go home and be with their families. But that's a greater discussion on a greater issue than just bail bonds, I believe.
Candidate Cypress.
Thanks for whoever asked that question, because this is something, as a city councilor, I've actually never thought about in terms of the city's role in this. I mean, I know a little bit about the issue that's been raised and the problem it causes, but I actually have absolutely no idea what direct role the city plays in this. And if I could learn more about the direct role the city plays in this, then we could definitely have a conversation about what the city might be able to do to improve the situation. I'm going to echo what a couple of other people said. There's a much, much bigger issue here, which is we've got way too many people in jail and in prison in this country, particularly for non-violent drug offenses. That's not something the city council can directly control, but we as community leaders can advocate and speak up for those bigger changes we need.
Candidate Osbakken?
I would think with bail bond that it should be, if someone has a record and they've got felonies or something, maybe the 10% is okay, and if they don't, then maybe there shouldn't even be a bail bond. And this question is huge, and people of color are arrested 9 times, this is African Americans, 9 times as often as white people in Duluth, and I've talked to Officer Ramsey about this, and I have to say his answer was not satisfactory to me. I need to talk to him more about that. That sounds so off, so wrong.
Candidate Westerlin?
I may be misinformed, but my understanding is that bail bond is set by the judge in the district court. So, maybe there's some education that could be done in that system. I'm not sure what role city council might have in managing that or assessing that as a body. What I would like to see to address this problem that all of the candidates have discussed about the racial inequities in arrest rates is some proactive conversations with our police officers and our public safety folks to ensure that we're not disproportionately criminalizing people who are not, conducting violent crime or drug offenses, things like that, that we're being, as, I don't know what's going on with this mic, but let's just say, let's work with our city partners at this level with this government body to try to do what we can at that level to address the issue.
And Candidate Larson?
Thank you. It is kind of fun to get a stumper. I haven't been asked this one before, and I actually am not certain there's a role for the mayor in this discussion. I would be very happy to work with our police chief and the sheriff to see if there's something we can do to impact that. I can see why it's an issue. I really don't have greater clarity on how I can impact it at this time, however.
Thank you, candidates. I think Classy's going to ask our next one.
I will, I guess. All right. Oh, and just before the next question, I was told to let everybody know that question and answer will be done at 7:30 today. And also that Alyssa Hansen as well as Jim Booth had to leave us early. They did notify us they weren't upset at anything and just left. So, just so everybody knows. All right. Well, next question. I think this is for all the candidates. Will you support a higher minimum wage for the city of Duluth? Alrighty, and we'll start with Joel Tigris.
Thanks, Classy. Thanks for the question. I'm actually going to say that my answer on this is almost identical to my answer on the safe and sick leave. We absolutely, absolutely, absolutely need this. I will do whatever is in my power to get a higher minimum wage at the state level, at the federal level. Before I could say yes to doing it at city level, I just want to make sure we just think through and investigate a little bit about what the consequences might be for jobs leaving the city, because as I'll just leave it at that. I'm open to the idea. We need a higher minimum wage, and I'm open to the idea of looking at locally, but just am not ready to say yes, we can definitely do it here in Duluth.